And for Pakistan, that would be open herbarium. And I need that to come from somebody authoritative, curator, or whatever, because it is an institutional commitment to providing data. It's not an individual one. In botany, we have a tradition really of saying that your specimens should be deposited in a recognized herbarium. And recognized to me means you should register with Index Herbariorum. So if you're working at a herbarium that is not registered with Index Herbariorum, talk very politely to the person in charge. I'm going to see if I can find that website. This is a listing, it tends to be a listing of all the research herbaria in the world. But, like everything else, it depends on research herbaria telling Index Herbariorum they exist. If the research herbaria do not say anything to Index Herbariorum, it doesn't know that they exist. This is not a well-funded thing where you've got people going out and scouring the neighborhood. We have promised GBIC, when we got the funding, that we would find out about the status of herbaria in Pakistan, both private and public. And the idea is, I hope that all those that are research herbaria will register. You can register and state that you're only a teaching collection, which basically means that you're not going to expand a whole lot. You've got representative specimens from your area, but you're not trying to document where different species occur within your area. That's certainly a difference. It's not that possible. And that came up very nicely on Google search. And the first thing it does is, when I get there, yeah, see, it says, do you want to register with her? So it's straightforward, it's free, you do it online. So get people to register the herbarium. It will take, there'll be an interval before it's done. And then when you do that, what you can do, or actually before you do that, we can do it now. Let's search for how many herbaria are known about from Pakistan. I didn't say how many herbaria there are in Pakistan, I said are known about from Pakistan. And one reason I'm curious about this is I want to see whether it's gone up since the last time I looked. Yeah, it's searching now. Oh no, they've still only got 18.
You are behind the camera.
Sorry.
It's okay.
And they will give a listing of them. And there's a few herbaria that need to update their information. That can be done online too. So if it's one of your herbaria, go check. But it's easy enough. It's just a matter they edit to make sure that the information is coming in is reliable. I don't know to what extent they check to see who it is that's sending it in. But that's Index Herbariorum for you. That's all it is. It's a listing of the herbaria in the world. Research herbaria. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you one other tool in in Synbiota that is kind of useful. And I'm going to show it to you using the intermountain region because there are lots of opportunities there to show you stuff, but it will show you what can be done. So go into the Intermountain Consortium. We're going to look at checklists, and you'll find there are two kinds of checklists. There are teaching checklists and there are research checklists. So we go on the Flora project, and let's go teaching first. I'm calling up the list of teaching checklists that have been submitted to this URL, this portal. And you'll see there are a slew of them. We have some courses where students are asked to learn to recognize individual species. And so this is what people have constructed, these things. We'll go in and click on one of them. This is a grass class that comes out of Arizona State University, and it's taught in the fall, also known as the autumn. And it's got a list of species, all of which are grasses, are they not? Or maybe they're not. Yes, they are. And it's asking you, can you identify them? Except it doesn't ask you that. It just says, these are the ones you're responsible for, and you're a student. You say, well, the name's there, so what? At that point, you do this, display as images. You find the mouse, which always seems to escape me. Ah, there it is. And now it's rebuilding the list, and it's going to add on to it pictures that it has. It will take the number 1 ranked picture first and display that one. Come on. Computers are so fast, we want them to be faster. It's very unfair, but that's the way it is. Okay, so I would have to say that I find identifying grasses from pictures tricky. But if you were in this class, you might find it useful to be able to look at these. I'm going to tell you something you find even more useful, and maybe fun, depends on whether the test is the next day or the next month. Go to the top. See where it says games? You give yourself a flashcard quiz. And this will randomly select pictures of the species on that list and throw them up and say, can you identify it? And we will not test my ability to identify these grasses because I do not want to embarrass myself. But it is another way to study. If what you've been told is you need to learn to recognize the grasses, you've got one more tool to help you learn to do that. And the other thing is if you do it together with 1 or 2 other students, you can compete and who can get there fastest and other things like that. And so long as the students are about the same level, they seem to learn more when they work together like that than when they work individually. It apparently is rather slow. But that's what that feature does. And it's a nice feature for teaching. Now the difference between a teaching checklist and a Flora checklist is a Flora checklist, a research checklist, depends on research, oddly enough. So you may go out in a different part of Chitral and find species that nobody has listed for Chitral. I'm not saying they're new species. I'm saying that nobody before has said they occur in Chitral. So you want to add them to a checklist of Chitral. I didn't touch anything. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, so basically, it's very easy to build checklists and you don't have to have special permissions. So that's one of the reasons I'm showing you how to do it. You all know what a flashcard quiz is, right? Yeah. Everybody knows a flashcard quiz. You show a picture and say, what's the name? Okay? I mean to abort that one and go to over there. We'll see what we can do here. You notice that it says at the top right of the gray banner across the middle there, it says Welcome Mary. I remembered my password for this one. And the next thing there is my profile. And if you go to my profile, it will come up and tell you the things that you have in your profile. Now, I'm a super admin, so there's a lot of stuff I can do that anybody else can't do. But you'll notice there are some floor checklists up there. And because I'm a super admin, I get to see them all. The thing that I would point out is that if you decide to create a checklist, and you can do that without having any special permission, I'll show you how. For Chitral, or for your hotel, or for your backyard, it doesn't matter. You can do it. You just have to create an account. And creating an account is free. Once you've created that account, you can go at any time you see this green plus sign, it's on the top right there. There. That means you can add something to that list. So you will see, you'll probably see no checklist, and then you will see the green plus sign. And if you click it, as I shall do, it asks you for what would be referred to as the metadata for this checklist. The metadata describes the data you are going to be presenting. So you want a name for your checklist, my backyard, you want who's the author of it, and generally it's a general checklist. You can give the locality if it has a locality. If it's a teaching checklist, you don't have a locality, or you probably don't. The citation and abstract. Citation is if you want people to cite this source. For instance, they discovered that a species occurs in Chitral through using this website, then you need to have a citation in there that says that it was published by the author name, the year you started, put a plus sign, what it is, and then say published online by a herbarium. And then, or if it's a published checklist, cite the publication to say viewed online. Okay? And then at the bottom of this page, there is a create checklist. And that's all it takes to create a checklist. I don't know why I keep feeling that I must kiss this the whole time when it's off, but whatever. So that is how you create a teaching checklist, which you could go back and you could do it, or you could do a sample checklist. You could do that without special permissions. Now, if there are other things you want to do, you're going to have to write and ask me for permission. I can give you permission to play in the sandbox, which is a collection that gets deleted regularly. I will not give you permission to edit a collection unless the person in charge of that collection agrees. But this is something you could go home and do right away. So if you want more permissions, if you get things you want to try to do and it says you do not have that permission, send me an email saying I am trying to do this and it is telling me I do not have the correct permission level. Then I will give those permissions to you, so long as I have a reasonable assurance that you're responsible, ethical, etc., etc. So you say, well, how on earth do I do that? Well, if I do have questions about it, I could ask the curator of a local herbarium or a botany professor, something like that. Or that's the kind of approach I take. Eventually, and not too long from now, we'll be delegating some of that authority so that people in charge of the collections in Pakistan can give some of these permissions. Because you people in Pakistan know who each other are, I don't. So that will be coming. But one of the things you can do with a checklist, a research checklist, let's see if we've got to see one of those. is you can add voucher specimens. You can identify a voucher with your name and non-collection number, and you will, of course, number each and every specimen you collect. Or, I would say better, the voucher specimen from deposition in a herbarium. The system will actually go through, there's a tool there for going through and asking. I've got this one that's supposed is a checklist of Chitral. Are there any specimen records that would document the names in the checklist? Are there any specimen records that suggest there's another species in the area that is not on my checklist? And are there any specimens which I've used as a voucher in the past and I've had their name changed? Because then you can go and look, see what's happened. Maybe all they've done is change the level of recognition of the variety of the species. But you can look and find out and see what you want to do about it. So those are the sorts of things you can do with checklists. You can either start building a research checklist in this way. A checklist is private until you want it to go public. When you want it to go public, there's a mark at the bottom of the page that says make it public, but you then have to do one other thing. You have to tell me you want that checklist to be made available to the public. And as soon as I get it and have internet access, I will do that. And if you find that after a week I've not responded to a request, send me a reminder. I am definitely a human being. I do forget. I could add an elderly human being, but I'm not going to do that. So don't feel badly about saying, Mary, I asked you about this. When will it be done? Because it does happen. I forget, and I apologize in advance for doing that. So that's the checklist feature for explaining how to actually digitize a herbarium. It really requires more. And one of the things we will be doing, I'll probably talk to Forward about this, he doesn't know this yet, is I have got a bunch of PDFs available on how to do things in Open Herbarium. And the idea was that you would be able to go from a workshop where you got an introduction and then follow those through one by one. The biggest thing you have to do is set up an account for yourself. And that's simple. That's really simple. It does ask you for your name, a login name, and your email. And I think that's all you have to provide. Do get your email correctly. Oh, you have to say that you're not a robot too. So that's all you have to provide to get an account in the system.